Okay, so guess what the buzz is that Diddy thought he had some secret card to play, but that hope is slipping fast because Trump went all dramatic and said he is not giving him any pardon, and then Diddy even tossed out this wild $50 million bail offer. Like, look at me, I got cash. But nope, that was shot down too. And now the calendar is screaming because only 1 month is left before sentencing, and people are talking like this might be the part where his whole life flips upside down. But some fans are still whispering, maybe a surprise twist could show up that no one saw coming.
Clarifies his comments during an interview with Newsmax on August 1st.
Diddy Combs,
Right.
would you consider pardoning him?
Well, he was essentially, I guess, sort of half innocent.
Yes.
I don't know what they do. He's still in jail or something. But he was celebrating a victory, but he seems, I guess it wasn't as good as a victory. Probably, I was very friendly with him. I got along with him great. And seemed like a nice guy. I didn't know him well. But when I ran for office, he was very hostile.
He said some not so nice things about you, sir.
And it's hard, like you, we're human beings.
Right.
And we don't like to have things cloud our judgment, right? But when you knew someone and you were fine, and then you run for office and he made some terrible statements. So I don't know, it's more difficult. It makes it more, I'm being honest, it makes it more difficult to do.
But more likely a no for Combs, it sounds like.
So the whole drama kicked off when CNN spilled that Diddy's lawyers had actually been in quiet talks with the Trump team about getting him a pardon, even though they kept denying it from the start. And then the White House itself confirmed it, which left his lawyer Mark Agnifilo with no choice but to come clean and admit that Diddy had told him to reach out and ask Trump for help. But the wild part is, nobody really knows if that bold move will save him or just make his situation even worse.
White House official declined to comment on, quote, speculation and told us any decision on pardons would come from the president himself. Combs' attorney, Mark Agnifilo, said he has not talked to the Trump administration about it. You mean to tell me that you really have nothing to do with a possible pardon right now?
Nothing. I have nothing to do with a possible pardon.
What is Sean Combs saying about the possibility of a pardon?
I think he knows I'm not political. We've never discussed it other than I tell him what's in the news about it. And
what's his reaction? Does he laugh? Does he say, let's look into it? What does he say?
Go tell him that I need a pardon. Go tell him I deserve a pardon. That's what he said.
How are you preparing him?
So, I tell him what the guidelines are, and the guidelines are about 2 or 3 years. And I tell him, the judge could go above the guidelines.
Do you have any regrets in how you tried this case?
It's a good question. Not really. Not really.
You called the relationship between Combs and Ventura a great modern love story. Ventura says she was raped, physically abused, and became addicted to drugs because of Combs.
I think that's what makes it, we vehemently deny. And I know, I respect that she said that. I don't think the jury concluded that happened. In terms of the drugs and the other stuff, I think that's what makes it a modern love story. I think she very much loved him, and I know he very much loved her.
Cassie Ventura's attorney told us that Agnifilo's description of the relationship is a, quote, complete disgrace and affront to survivors of domestic violence.
Okay, so here's the juicy bit, because in one of those press talks, Trump himself admitted that he and Diddy actually used to be friends, and he even teased that he might look into giving him a pardon. And then in another chat, Trump got all weird, saying Diddy was like half innocent, kind of celebrating like it was some kind of win, but then he twisted it and said, well, maybe it wasn't really such a great victory after all.
Was a good friend of yours back then. He has since found himself in some very serious legal trouble.
Yeah, that's true.
Would you ever consider pardoning him?
Well, nobody's asked. You had to be the one to ask, Peter, but nobody's asked. But I know people are thinking about it. I know they're thinking about it. I think some people have been very close to asking. First of all, I'd look at what's happening. And I haven't been watching it too closely, although it's certainly getting a lot of coverage. I haven't seen him. I haven't spoken to him in years. He used to really like me a lot, but I think when I ran for politics, that relationship busted up for from what I read. I don't know. He didn't tell me that, but I'd read some little bit nasty statements in the paper all of a sudden. You know, it's different. You become a much different person when you run for politics and you do what's right. I could do other things, and I'm sure he'd like me, and I'm sure other people would like me, but it wouldn't be as good for our country. As we said, our country's doing really well because of what we're doing. So it's not a popularity contest. So I don't know. I would certainly look at the facts. If I think somebody was mistreated, whether they like me or don't like me, it wouldn't have any impact on me.
Now, the final thing I want to say is this. I asked 𝐃𝐢𝐬𝐜𝐿, what about Trump's comment? What does it do to the jury? And he thought it was a nightmare for Diddy that Donald Trump said this. And the reason he thinks that is when the jury goes into deliberations, they could end up saying, well, look, I mean, even if we convict him, because we kind of think he's guilty, we're not sure he's guilty, but if we find him guilty, he's probably going to get pardoned because Trump...
So here is where it gets extra messy, because folks close to Diddy have been gossiping for years that a presidential pardon might swoop in to save him. And then 𝐃𝐢𝐬𝐜𝐥𝐚𝐢𝐸 came out saying Diddy has been playing informant for the feds, and that is why they would always cover him and help him dodge trouble. And the whispers say Diddy was constantly feeding them information while the cops knew all about what Puffy was into, but somehow he never got indicted. And that explains why he was so bold about showing off his shady moves, like he knew deep down nothing was ever going to touch him.
Do you think he's going to be all right because someone's going to tamper with the jury? Is that what you're trying to say?
He got enough influence, and I'm quite sure, don't seem like the prosecution is that bad against him. Don't seem like I think he got some favors with the government. I think they're going to show him a little leeway. It might not seem like it when it's all said and done, but I don't think he has nothing to worry about. I don't think he's worried because he's going to be federal. And if he get convicted, Trump's going to pardon him. So what's the worry?
You think the President of the United States would pardon Sean Combs for trafficking?
Shit, he pardoned Michael Harris, who allegedly killed a Jewish teenager or had him. So they don't care about that. It's all about, what's in it for the long run and what the bucks say and what the power of the people want.
For so long, when we were on the street, we didn't get a day's rest. I mean, the government was all over us. The FBI is all over us. They got investigations on us. They got informants. They got surveillance equipment.
He was not cutting you off, but he was an informant for years.
Was he really?
Yeah, that's why when people was like, oh, he's going to run, oh, he's not. It's the reason why these type of people get caught up, they always been telling they bigger than the law because they part of the law, And as you know, all these people get tired of their rats.
So the twist is that things are really not working out for Diddy right now, because Trump might forgive, but he definitely does not forget. And way back when Trump was running for office, Diddy came at him hard with a whole hate campaign and even started his own political party. And now Trump is throwing shade in interviews saying all that trash talk Diddy did is exactly what makes it super hard for him to even think about giving a pardon.
Got too serious of a point. Seeing what's going on, white men like Trump need to be banished. That way of thinking is real dangerous. This man literally threatened the lives of us and our families about going to vote.
Stand back and stand by.
Stand back and stand by.
Yeah.
We're in a war. We're not taking this like it's a war. We taking this like, oh, we're in a presidential election. No, we're in a war of love versus hate. The number one priority is to get Trump out of office. The tribe of people that have the responsibility and really should be scared to death of this man is white people.
Explain.
If this man is elected, we're not standing by no more getting killed. We're not scared of anybody standing up and standing by. We're on the verge of a race war.
Turns out the person who might have pushed Trump to turn on Diddy is none other than 50 Cent, because as soon as folks started talking about a possible pardon, 50 began flooding social media with old videos of Diddy trashing Trump during his campaign, making sure Trump remembered every word. And while Diddy was hoping for mercy, 50's trolling just made the chances of that pardon fade further into the background.
Like Trump need to be banished. Trump gets elected, I really do believe in my heart there'll be a race war. That's why this message is not just to black people. You know what I'm saying? This message is to everybody. This man is really trying to turn us against each other and put us in a situation. America messed up.
President Trump even called him a good friend on a 2012 episode of his TV show The Apprentice. Problem is, some comments Diddy made about Trump in recent years as Diddy really entered the political realm. There's a video where he's speaking to radio host 𝐃𝐢𝐬𝐜𝐸𝐸 saying, if Trump gets elected, I really do believe in my heart there'll be a race war. In another video on Revolt, he says white men like Trump need to be banished. And by the way, you know who's not letting anyone forget this? Combs' rival 50 Cent took to social media recently, wrote, see, Trump don't like like this, buddy, you run your mouth too much. And Donald doesn't take well to disrespect and doesn't forget who chooses to go against him. While working tirelessly to make America great again, there is no room for distraction. He would consider pardoning anyone who is being mistreated, not Puff Daddy. And let me tell you, the idea of Trump pardoning Diddy is not getting a ton of love out.
So get this, a whole year back, Gandil already called it, saying Trump was never going to pardon Diddy because they are not cool like that anymore, and plus Trump doesn't want the chaos and backlash of saving someone people see as a monster, and now insiders are spilling that Trump felt straight up disrespected by Diddy and made up his mind he wasn't about to risk his name for a guy who went out of his way to clown him in public.
How do you feel about the people that feel like Trump, he might pardon Diddy?
First of all, he got to be charged and be in prison to be pardoned. You got to realize that the feds could take this case for 2, 3, maybe 4 years, and Trump will be out of office. You don't know how long the feds is gonna go on with this. You understand what I'm saying? You hear people talking crazy talk, well, they ain't got nothing because, man, I've seen the dude set behind bars for 2 years before he had his trial with the feds. And by the time a pardon come in, another year would come by. So that's just a whole lot of propaganda. Puff wasn't even f***ing with Trump like that no more. He was going against Donald Trump. Donald Trump is petty as 50 Cent. Do you understand that? You see how petty 50 is? Donald Trump is just as petty as 50, bro. And he gonna look at it and say, yo, why should I help this motherfucker when he talking shit about me? The diddler. I seen them in a meeting together before. Al Sharpton, Wendy Williams, Puff Daddy, and Donald Trump at the Four Seasons Hotel downtown. And I'm sure he was telling them, because all this shit is planned, bro. Yo, you know I'm gonna be president one day. I'm gonna need y'all support. But they flipped. You understand what I'm saying? They flipped. Because everybody was dealing with Donald Trump at one time. That was in the music record business and all that stuff like that. So my whole thing about it is, all that shit is propaganda, bullshit. It's just having somebody, they need something to talk about. Donald Trump probably wouldn't on Puff if he was on.
Listen, this is low-key scary because even if Trump did decide to pardon Diddy, it would not mean he is free right away, since he still has to do at least a year or more behind bars. And remember, he has not even been sentenced yet, and a pardon can only happen once he is actually in prison. So the whole thing could take over a year, and anything could go wrong during that wait. And the streets know his name, so lots of people want revenge, and prison might be the place where that danger gets real. And that thought is what has everyone whispering about how worried he must be.
How Trump, he spoke on giving Puffy a pardon. You heard what he said about it?
He still would have, if he pardoned Diddy, far as I know, he would still have to go through the process. I don't think Trump is just going to send the marshals or the Department of Justice, teach them over there to the fucking jail, yo, get Diddy out. And when he had friends that went to jail, remember he had friends that went to jail who worked for him, who did some shit. What did he do? They went through the same process that every person go through and giving a pardon. And that might take a year, that may take 2 years. But he's gonna have to go through the process first, because I don't think Trump is gonna show him any special favors for him not going through the process. So if Trump said that he may pardon him,
he might still have to do a year, 9 months, or even longer than that. And I don't believe he is. I think 50 gonna be right there in his ear. And I think 50 is closer than Trump than Diddy.
Things are only getting heavier for Diddy since prosecutors are now pushing for a tougher sentence, and there's talk that the judge could ignore the federal guidelines completely and hand down whatever punishment feels right. And if that happens, Diddy might be looking at a future that drags on far longer than anyone first thought.
Early July, Combs was convicted on 2 prostitution-related charges, each carrying a maximum sentence of 10 years. He was found not guilty on the more serious racketeering charges.
Today's a great victory.
After the July verdict, prosecutors initially expected Combs would face a prison term of 4 to 5 years, according to CBS News. However, according to a written submission filed Thursday in a Manhattan federal court, as reported by the Associated Press, the expected sentence is now substantially higher. The submission also opposed Combs' request to be released on a $50 million bail ahead of his October 3rd sentencing. The filing also says Combs must remain in custody until sentencing unless he can prove exceptional circumstances, and according to prosecutors, this comes after a previous bail request for $1 million was also denied following the verdict. A federal judge ruled there was no evidence to suggest Combs doesn't pose a danger to others or the community. With these latest developments, Combs will remain in jail until his sentencing on October 3rd.
Trial prosecutors put in an opposition to Diddy's bail request, and the prosecutors say they're actually looking for a more lengthy sentencing than what they originally thought. In this opposition, the prosecution is laying out the fact that the judge already denied Diddy's bail for being a violent person, and they hone in even more into Diddy's alleged violence against people. Prosecutors are saying that Diddy has actually been lying when he said that he didn't commit violence between his breakup with Cassie Ventura in 2018 up until 2024 with his incident with Jane. Let's go ahead and jump right into this motion. The government says despite the court's clear ruling that the defendant must be detained pending sentencing following his conviction on 2 felony counts, the defendant moves again for bail. The defendant's detention pending sentencing is mandatory. There is no exceptional circumstances justifying his release. Even if there were, the defendant cannot demonstrate by clear and convincing evidence that he is not a danger to the community. This court properly denied the defendant's request for bail on July 2nd of 2025, and the defendant has failed to present any reason for the court to reconsider its ruling. The court should deny the defendant's motion on this again on that basis alone, but then they get into listing more reasons. The defendant has failed to meet the strict standard for reconsideration. As an initial matter, the defendant's motion is untimely under Rule 49 because the motion was filed 27 days after the court's July 2nd, 2025 bail determination. The defendant fails to meet Rule 49, which is a 14-day deadline. Go on to say that Diddy has failed to show any exceptional reasons why he should be released on bail waiting sentence.
Guess what Diddy's team just tried for bail yet again? This makes it the 5th time, and now they are dangling a $50 million bond backed by his Miami mansion, plus handing over his passport. No travel, no phone, no internet, and staying stuck at home with private security. But the talk on the street is he is only pushing this hard because he is scared of prison life. And if he ever gets out, he might not stick around for long.
Diddy's legal problem. So Diddy's legal team has just filed a motion for bail. They're offering $50 million. They're, basically arguing that it's unfair that he's behind bars, given the nature of his conviction. His attorneys are asking the judge to approve the $50 million bond package, and they want him to live on house arrest in his Miami mansion while he waits, for his convictions. Now, the judge, has ordered Diddy to remain in Brooklyn's Metropolitan Detention Center until October 3rd, when his sentencing is set. So, and remember, the judge also, cited during the case that Diddy's admitted violence towards his former lovers, including Cassie. He said, quote, "It's impossible for the defendant to show he possesses no danger to any person." So he said that. So that's the reason he felt that he needed to stay behind bars. So I'm wondering, you know what I mean? If this, this will still apply.
To the Sean Diddy Combs case, we may learn this week if he will be released on bond while he awaits sentencing. His lawyers filed a request asking the judge to release Combs on $50 million bond. Combs was convicted earlier this month on charges of transportation to engage in prostitution, and he was acquitted of more serious charges of sex trafficking and racketeering conspiracy. The government is expected to respond by this Thursday. Combs' sentencing is scheduled.
Judge Aaron has already decided that Diddy is a flight risk, and with the kind of violent history he carries, there is no way any amount of money can buy his way out. Plus, Cassie's lawyer and her friend Deontay Nash both stepped in and urged the court to keep him locked up, and now the whole situation feels like a wall closing in tighter around him with fewer and fewer doors left to escape.
What's going to happen with this Diddy trial? Federal prosecutors are now responding to Diddy trying to get out, right, while he's waiting to get sentenced. And so basically what prosecutors are saying is that they believe that his response, that his crimes reflect aggravating, not mitigating factors, and they want to justify his continued incarceration. Diddy had said that he's just a John. He's not the one that participated in having sex with these male escorts. He only watched. Right. And his ex-girlfriends are the ones that had sex. Well, they said that ignores the fact that he transported individuals for the purpose of prostitution on hundreds of occasions over the course of decades. And they also said he did ply Cassie and Jane Doe with drugs to make sure they would participate in marathon freak-off sessions while victimizing them through his violent outbursts. So they said he should not be released on a $50 million bond because he does pose a danger and he has a history of violent behavior.
Diddy Combs has been denied bail after the verdict in his trafficking case, and here's how he took the news. According to NBC News reporters in the courtroom, Combs appeared, quote, deflated as his hopes of going home were seemingly dashed as his lawyers attempted to convince Judge Aaron Subramanian to release their client ahead of his sentencing. In his ruling, Subramanian cited Combs' years-long pattern of violence as a reason for him to remain behind bars, adding that he continues to be a danger to others and unable to follow the law. That Combs, who pleaded not guilty to racketeering conspiracy, trafficking by force, fraud, or coercion, as well as transportation to engage in prostitution, was acquitted on the three most serious charges of trafficking and racketeering and only convicted of prostitution-related offenses. Defense attorney Mark Agnifilo insisted he should be released on appropriate conditions. As Agnifilo outlined, Combs would be willing to put up a $1 million cash bond, co-signed by his mom Janice Combs, his sister Keisha Combs, and Sarah Chapman, the mother of Combs' eldest daughter Chance Combs, and have no access to his private plane, which is currently grounded in Maui. He also agreed to surrender his passport, undergo drug testing, and restrict travel to areas of New York, Florida, and California as necessary to attend court. And
so now Diddy's lawyers are switching things up with a fresh move trying to get the whole case tossed out, saying he never actually joined in any of the freak-offs and was only watching from the side, like that somehow makes him innocent. But the wild part is, everyone knows he was the one setting everything up and giving directions, and if that is not proof of guilt, then honestly, what is?
Passed in 1910, and it's changed a few times through the years, but really what it's geared at, what it's focused on, is prosecuting people who make money from the business of prostitution. And that's not the allegation against Mr. Combs. The allegation of Mr. Combs, what the jury found, essentially was that he was a user of services provided by workers, essentially a John, for lack of a better word. And the Mann Act just historically hasn't been applied to Johns. It's a financial statute. It's really been applied at people who look to make money from prostitution. And so since that's not how it's being applied here, we made the argument that we have to, under the case law and the statutes in this area, that this is an exceptional reason and that Mr. Combs should be considered for release on bail because of it.
Diddy is upping his offer to the government. He wants out of jail right now. You know that he is still behind bars at Brooklyn MDC while he is awaiting his sentence in October. But right after he was sentenced, they tried to get out on bail. They made an offer. They said, we'd like for him to be released on $1 million bail. The judge shut that down. So now it's like he's playing let's make a deal, right? How about this, Your Honor? What if we offer a $50 million bail package? The money has gone up, but the reason that he thinks he should get out is because he says what he's convicted of were non-violent offenses. And he's right. He's right that he was convicted on 2 counts of the Mann Act. The Mann Act is hiring a prostitute and taking the prostitute across state lines. It's a non-violent crime.
And just when things could not get any darker, a brand new lawsuit has popped up against Diddy, and this time his own son Justin Combs is tangled in it too, with claims that back in 2017 they were both part of a violent assault where a woman says she was tricked into coming to Los Angeles with promises of a job, but instead ended up trapped for the whole weekend and attacked over and over.
Self-proclaimed bad boy for life, Sean Combs is facing a series of new allegations of sexual abuse and sexual assault tonight. At least 6 people filed civil lawsuits against him in federal court in New York today. I think the biggest headline from here is that one of these alleged victims was a minor. That's serious.
Very serious, and I agree with you, Elizabeth. Obviously, it changes the game. This is just a civil lawsuit, but if that works its way into the federal criminal indictment, if there is indeed a superseding indictment, that changes the game in 2 ways. One, of course, there's mandatory minimum and very serious sentences for trafficked minors, but importantly, it really gets around one of Combs's defense, that is that the contact happened, but it was consensual between adults because, of course, minors.
Looks like the tide has finally turned against Diddy, because with Trump refusing a pardon and the court shutting down his bail plea, his future is looking darker than ever. The man who once ruled like nothing could touch him might actually be out of power, money and connections to pull him out this time. And while people keep debating if he deserves another shot or if he should stay behind bars for good, the only thing clear is that the drama around him is only heating up more. So if you are loving all this wild drama and want to keep up with every twist and turn, make sure you stick with Jacob Reports, because we are spilling the tea before anyone else does. Hit that subscribe button, tap the bell so you never miss the updates, and drop your thoughts below, because you know we always want to hear what you think.